time is 6:30 and a quorum being present, I call this meeting to order. So there are a bunch of continuances. So to be efficient, I will rapid fire go through some continuances. If anybody's here for, for Vale Street, Fraser Lane, there's a few Tewksbury Department of Public Works on here, Starbird Avenue, and 1600 Shawshene Street, and 442 Main Street. I'll go into more depth on all of these, but let's start. Could I have a motion to continue to the October 19th, 2022 meeting? Public hearing, notice of intent, Civil Design Consultants, Inc. of Andover, Massachusetts, on behalf of Yvonne Cormier, Vale Street, Assessors Map 112, lots 23, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94. This is DEP file number 3051154. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Could I have a motion
Sorry to just interrupt. So B and C is, they asked for another month, so I think October 19th is also appropriate for.
All right. Could I have a motion to continue to the October 19th meeting, public hearing, notice of intent, Civil Design Consultants on behalf of Arnie Martell, 70 Fraser Lane, Assessors Map 25, Lot 86, DEP file number 305-1158.
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Could I have a motion to continue to the October 19th meeting, public hearing, notice of intent, Civil Design Consultants on behalf of Arnie Martell, Fraser Lane Paving Project, DEP file number 305-1157.
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Could I have a motion to continue to the next public meeting, public hearing, request for determination of applicability, Tewksbury Department of Public Works, properties along Assel Street, Old Boston Road, East Street, Livingston Street, and North Street?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Could I have a motion to continue to the October 5th, 2022 meeting, request for certificate of compliance, AJM Development, Inc., 15 Starbird Ave, subdivision, DEP file number 305-998?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. This one might be continued, but so we'll skip that until we actually get to it. All right. Could I have a motion to continue public hearing, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, Bales Associates, Inc., on behalf of Holt and Bugbee Company, 1600 Shawshene Street, Assessors Map 112, Lot 4, DEP file number 305-1163 to the next meeting?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion for public hearing, notice of intent, Civil Design Consultants, Inc., on behalf of Wamisit Lanes, LLC, 343 Main Street, Assessors Map 22, Lot 69, and address behind 402, 434, and 442 Main Street, DEP file number not yet assigned, to the next meeting?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Now, agenda item E, public hearing, request for determination of applicability. Joseph Charbonnier, 110 Breckenridge Road, Assessors Map 111, Lot 69. Is there anybody here for that? Could you please come up and introduce yourselves? Could you introduce yourself?
Oh, Joseph Sharpen here.
And what is it that you are trying to do today?
Just have my existing septic tank crushed and backfilled and hook up to town sewer.
Joe, do you have any comments about this?
Yep.
Oh, that Joe.
Also, Joe.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I visited the site on September 1st, 2022. I noticed that the septic tank location is approximately 60 to 70 feet away from an existing wetland. Therefore, with the situation not warranting an emergency, this requires the RDA process. The septic tank is located in the front of the house. The wetlands are located to the rear and to the side of the property. They'll be trenching from the septic tank to the road. It's in the front of the house. So with that being said, if the commission were to issue a negative determination of applicability, the following conditions can apply: installing and maintaining erosion and sediment controls, which shall include of a properly entrenched silt fence or staked straw wattles around the area of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. Erosion and sediment control shall remain in place until all areas of disturbed loose soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. And prior to any construction activity commencing, the following should be completed: installing those erosion and sediment controls and contacting me to inspect and approve of the erosion and sediment controls. So to clarify, the erosion and sediment controls are the black filter fabric, silt fence, or the stake straw wattles. Are you familiar with those?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it.
All right, anybody on the commission have any questions or comments?
I have none.
I'm good. Joe, will erosion control just go along both sides since it's pretty much just a strip of work being done for this? Because it's in front of the house too, so I'm wondering like how much erosion can get around the house per se. Is that what you envision? Where's the erosion and sediment controls, I guess?
So if you're looking at the sketch
Yeah.
to the left, just on one side.
Just on one side? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
So that, just for my clarification, just on the, you say the left side, just on the one side closest to the wetland from where the trench will be?
Yeah, so you'll be, there's going to be the one trench and the trench associated with crushing the septic tank. So just the side closest to the wetland, so.
And just in the front of the house?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Great. This is a public hearing, so I invite anybody from the public to get up and ask any questions or comment when appropriate. But not, if you have a question, please. If you have a question, please go to the mic and introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Pat Durant. I live at 69 Breckenridge Road in Tewksbury, right across the street from the Charbonniers. This is the third septic system that's gone in this complex on that side of the street that the river's on. Why do the people on that side of the street have to go through so much bother of paying another $125 to get a permit from the Conservation Commission to take their septic and change it from a leaching field that is draining into the ground and possibly going into the river to put it into a pipe to be processed and sent? Why do these people have to pay this extra money and go through this process when they're doing better than leaving a septic system in there?
Joe, you might have more comments on this, but they're proposing to do work within our jurisdiction. So this is a request for determination of applicability. We typically, for these ones, give a negative determination, meaning that they can continue with their work and they don't have to file a full notice of intent. With that said, it's I don't want to say it's a formality, but they are within 100 feet of wetlands, and so they have to come before this board. It's not a Tewksbury decided this, it's the Commonwealth of Massachusetts forces anybody within 100 feet of wetlands to go to their local
Okay.
conservation
I
commission.
just wanted to be clear that it's not just a Tewksbury.
No.
thing.
We do have additional laws, bylaws, but regardless of our bylaws, you still would have to come before the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Any other members of the public like to ask any questions? All right, not seeing anybody. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability for Joseph Charbonnier? I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
Charbonnier was close.
110 Breckenridge Road, Assessors Map 111, Lot 69, as discussed at this meeting.
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, agenda item F, enforcement order, Christopher Salvo, 50 Driftwood Drive, Assessors Map 69, Lot 147. Is there anybody here for that? All right, could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Hey, Chris Alvo, 50 Driftwood Drive, Tewksbury.
All right, and do you have anything to update us on? Or,
I sent it over to Joe.
all right. Joe,
So if the commission recalls, this property was first brought to the commission's attention in June of 2022 for what originally started as a violation notice and then subsequently was managed under an enforcement order. This was in response to clearing of trees within 100 feet of the wetland and within the riverfront area. Part of the alterations included potential impacts to the wetland itself. So the enforcement order had stated to produce a site plan that shows impacts to wetland resource areas themselves and to the buffer zone by September 2022. The violator must obtain a permit through the Conservation Commission if the violator is seeking to permit portions of the alterations subject to this enforcement order. So essentially, the commission had established to, stabilize the site, install erosion and sediment controls, and then, get the wetlands and all resource areas flagged and produce a site plan to at least, show the commission where resource areas are, where the extent of the alterations were, and then kind of taking it from there. Chris has provided, let's see where it is. Some photos of, the delineation was done by Norris Environmental Services, so there was a delineation done. But I guess I don't have the plan. But it was essentially a sketch of, where the resource areas are. But it didn't show riverfront area flags or the sketch. Evan, do you have it on your screen?
I have one.
Okay.
And on the print that I sent you, it didn't show the delineation flags.
Right, yeah.
So the purple is the flags, and then the red is the project site.
Okay.
And then that's the footage from the riverfront. 50, 100.
Okay.
And that's the nearest flag from the property, which is 28 feet away. And then same, 25, 50, 100.
So sorry, the purple is what?
Delineation flags.
Picture provided in the log is different than that. That doesn't outline the,
Right.
this is the
So-
photo that we have, that doesn't delineate.
Correct. I drew these in earlier for your email. But that picture that you have still shows the purple and red.
Yep.
I'm good. I'll pass that one on. So the red is the extent of the alteration, or is that the extent of wetlands, or?
No, the red is the project site, the extent of the project site.
Okay,
The purple is the delineation that Norris came up and did.
so I guess my part of my email was to point out that I believe they had two sets of flags. One was for the bank of the river, which defines a separate resource area, and then one is the wetlands itself. So it seems like you marked out, you know, the extent of the site and where the wetlands are, but there should be a second set. Because it's not only wetlands, but it's also a riverfront area, which is a separate resource area.
So maybe their flag, they only had one color flag out there. So their flags are on the river itself that are also marked on that print.
Okay. Yeah, I was able to talk with Norris, and it said they told me that there were, you know, two types of flags out there, but
Maybe by their flags, they had blue flags and they had little silver tags.
yeah.
All right.
Right. So I guess,
So those were also, I had some of those were on the same markings as the wetland flags.
So Norse Environmental didn't give you any prints or anything?
Nope.
They didn't provide you with any
No.
prints either? All right.
You paid them to do this job?
Correct.
Seems a little odd.
Yeah.
Normally we get a more formal drawing. Do we agree?
I mean, if you paid them to do the job, they should have supplied.
Hi, for the record, Doug Lees, I'm a land surveyor. Norse Environmental Services, or engineering, was it Norse Environmental Services is a wetland scientist. They don't do survey, they don't produce plans. They flag wetlands and they file notices of intents. So I just thought I'd straight point that out. I mean, they don't have a surveyor on staff to go out and locate the flags, to do the survey, to prepare a plan, to present it to the commission. So a lot of times when Norse Environmental is in front of you, I'm the surveyor that gets hired by the homeowner to prepare the plans. Sometimes it's Andover Consultants, sometimes it's Landplex. But they flag the wetlands and they write the reports, you know, they do wetland delineation, soil evaluation, the masters of the regulations, because they baffle me. I can't follow the conservation regulations to save my life. But, yeah, they don't produce plans, they don't do surveys, they don't. They'll give you a sketch, you know, they'll give it to us usually, survey of where they flags we know what we're looking for. So I just wanted to.
yes, so that's true. They are only responsible, or they only flag the wetlands. They would typically subcontract out another surveyor to actually create a site plan.
All right.
So I thought just to decide, you know, like expectations for the plan, and just like how to move forward from here.
I don't want to burden this
Yeah.
gentleman anymore. I think we do this, we reinforce the enforcement order, and you can go in and clean up whatever he has to clean up.
Okay.
I think that's the easy, I mean,
We have it delineated, correct, through these flags.
Correct.
Yes.
and that's the sketch and not a.
Correct, and it's just, I'm used to seeing a more formal plan.
Right.
But I agree with you, why burden the homeowner here?
I
If you
don't
know
think we
where the
should.
boundaries are. Joe,
This is.
what's your thought here?
So the enforcement order, I mean, there's still alterations within a resource area, which would normally require a permit. So it's just about you know, properly permitting that activity, those activities in accordance with regulations.
In which, if we do that, that would require a survey. Because we need to know exactly where, how, in the locations.
Ideally, I mean, and as a general statement, it's just, you know, the commission needs to know where, how resource areas are being impacted and, you know, how close they are to resource areas. So if we just say, okay, just go in and clean it up, you know, we would obviously need to include some monitoring to that, because you can't just say, oh yeah, just go clean it up. That's,
Right.
I would say,
Well, it's
not
kinda
enough
vague,
enforcement.
right. Evan, your take?
I'm just reading the exact verbiage of the enforcement order,
Yeah, I
to see how it's written.
very,
And the
My only
last,
question would be, how do we regrade? Because the area was obviously modified. How do they regrade to the original conditions?
It wouldn't be, well, that's where the permit would come in to actually like allow those activities if the commission allows it.
I mean, if I remember correctly, this was the one where we were about 3 foot high on the trees.
yeah, I thought we had. a
Right, I
picture of
mean,
that.
like,
It's in
photo
the
on
permit
page
itself.
3, I mean, it's quite an elevation change. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is,
So,
Did erosion and sediment controls get installed?
The ground has been since taken over. So I provided new photos, I think you guys have them.
Yep.
All new growth and everything is taken in, so there's nothing moving over there.
so I'll say that if this was just a project that came to the commission, like prior to there being any alteration, and someone said, hey, can I do this? What would we require? And I think objective, like, from an unbiased perspective, I think an actual survey of where things are is typically how the commission would vote. But
I mean, it's in the enforcement order to delineate and survey.
correct.
is that what the verbiage is? Survey also?
Agents therefore shall delineate and survey nearby wetland resource areas to produce a site
So-
plan.
Sorry, we had a conversation and I asked about that and you said that I could provide the site map and do my own plotting on that.
So I said if you can accurately show where wetlands are.
Which
and-
those have, I pulled everything off my house and triangulated everything and put it on a map.
The survey told us we are not in wetland.
Yeah, we're 25, we're in your buffer zone. I mean, the brush piles are inside the wetland and up near the riverfront. That's what they said per email, it is not a wetland issue, it's more of a riverfront.
Right, yeah, so,
So-
and the,
That actually makes it worse.
Correct, but the removal of the brush, which Joe and I originally talked about, I can do. I just need to get a machine back. That's what my restoration plan said. I need to get a machine back there to remove all that stuff. But obviously, I need your blessing to get a machine back there and to remove that out before I go ahead and do anything. So I guess the main thing is if I need to remove the brush that's back there, I need the permission to get a machine and equipment to do so.
Well, that's where it comes in on the delineation.
Which we have, or I have done.
Can I see that again?
so the riverfront area extends 200 feet. So that's where the confusion for me is coming in, is there's two separate resource areas here and only one is shown.
What's I thought there was,
The one in the back would be the riverfront, no?
yeah, what's,
The one on the back I figured would be the riverfront
Which
area.
area is, are we in here?
This is the house.
Okay,
This is the extent of the alteration.
okay, so it's outside the 25 foot, but inside the 50 foot.
Yes, and then presumably within the riverfront. Because this goes, this.
Right. I don't have a problem with him being, as long as he's outside the 25 foot and within the 50 foot, even in the riverfront area.
Okay,
I don't have a problem.
okay.
You don't have a problem with,
The alterations he made were within the 50 foot and not the 25 foot.
Of what wetland act? Are we in riverfront or
Both.
both? Okay.
that's not the riverfront,
No, that's 100 feet.
The twos for one, ones and twos. So where's the work gonna take place?
This is the extent of the work. So everything like within here.
So it's stopping here-ish?
Yeah, so this delineates the furthest extent from the property line.
Oh, the red dots are the work?
Yeah, so this is the edge, and everything occurred within here.
Yes, that one point that's right on the 25, since it's not a surveyed plan.
Right.
And it's just a circle drawn around, that's the only point that would concern me right there.
Okay.
If we can modify that so
you want to
it's,
bring that in
bring that in a
to,
little bit.
yeah.
You're talking 25 feet from the riverfront?
Yeah, I'll show you. So there's a point right here.
Right.
Hovering
Trees.
right on the 25.
Okay.
Pushing that back, if we could push that back a little bit, I'd feel a little bit more confident that we're not encroaching on the 25-foot buffer. Push that towards the 50-foot.
There's,
So this is, purple is river?
There, so all the ones are the buffer around,
Okay.
and the twos are the buffer around the
So we're
wetlands.
only really dealing with one projection.
Close to the 25, since it's not a
Okay.
stamp survey.
Yeah,
If we push that towards the 50, if we can.
yeah,
I think that's a more common sense approach to it.
there's also the 100-year floodplain, but I don't believe he's in it. And, if so,
I think we have enough variables to this one,
yeah.
personally.
All right.
So how do we want to,
Yeah, that's what I'm
How do
not
we wanna-
exactly sure.
Work with them to modify the map or the restoration plan so it's not as close to the 25-foot buffer, since that's not a stamp
not an actual
survey.
survey, right?
So just measuring out from,
Just ensuring that,
okay,
since you've taken your class now.
yeah.
You are an expert.
So,
And then having that be presented to the commission too versus one page that we're passing around would also be ideal as well, if
Okay.
possible.
so bringing in the work from, or just verifying that it's actually outside of 25?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So just verifying it's outside of 25 feet,
Yes.
then like coming back for a permit or, because that was the other part of the record, or the enforcement. Or is it just being
I mean, could he
permitted,
verify it and
go from there?
Yeah, basically.
notify
go on
you?
that. Verify it, then if we're gonna have to pull that back, I really don't think he needs a permit because it has to be done anyways. You know what I mean?
I'm comfortable.
I mean,
And Joe-
Everything's
we are
gonna be
actually-
restored back to original conditions. You're
we
not
are
planning on
actually
doing any
forcing
work,
him to
correct?
do this, so.
Like I said, everything's gonna be restored back to original conditions, or are you planning on doing any work?
Where?
To have anything stay modified, or is everything returning back to original conditions?
Where you,
Inside the wetlands?
inside
buffer
it's gonna
zone?
go back to how it was. So I plan on taking all the debris that was pushed back there. I'm gonna take that out and remove it and grade that back to as close to as original as possible and put down what I need to put down. I'll put down hay so it doesn't erode and everything else, and I can do a silt fence down by the river, so nothing during the project can go down there. And
Yeah, as long as you confer with Joe, the erosion and sediment control plan, just make sure he's
I'll
comfortable
do
with it, he's
silt
on
fence, I'll do
site.
wattles and everything down by the water, so when everything comes out, nothing goes down until the ground. I mean, we're coming into the winter, so nothing's gonna happen, so by the spring, they'll stay there, and hopefully new growth and everything will come back.
Yeah, I think it's, like, once it's removed, I think the system is, like, robust. I think it will just naturally fill in.
Right.
But it would still require, like, some level of monitoring, so like, you know, coming back and, like, after it's done, you know, just to
Or
check.
check season or something, just to make sure it's all came back.
Right, notify you, you go do a quick site survey.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I've been in contact with you before, so I don't have an issue with, as the
Yeah.
progress goes along, be like, hey, this is all set.
We don't want to burden you, we're here to work with you.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
This is
what I'm
not-
trying to do as well,
Yeah.
so.
And we appreciate that.
You comfortable with this, Joe?
Sure.
And no, it's seriously, whatever, you know, whatever the commission wants.
Well, I don't see burdening them with this when we know we have to almost go back to original.
It's going back to original, I'm fine.
I think
Yeah.
the most important thing is just having some movement with the actual getting stuff out of there.
Getting stuff done, right.
And as
right.
long as it's outside of the 25-foot, I
Yes.
believe it's outside of the, you know, 100-year floodplain.
Yeah, if you can just confirm that and work with the applicant, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I like that approach.
So
You good, Dan?
we'd be
Yeah, I'm
Like
good.
that?
modifying the enforcement order to reflect as discussed.
Yes. That's a lot of as discussed.
Could I have a motion to that?
Dennis seconds it already.
No, but seriously, could I have a motion to update the enforcement order as discussed at this meeting?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. So Joe will be in contact with you.
Okay, so I have the permission to go ahead and schedule someone to start doing work to get that removed?
Joe will verify.
Yeah, let's verify first.
Okay.
But how long do you think that would take?
I can be out within a week. I can give you a
Okay.
call.
But I can make a call to see if I can schedule,
Yeah,
start
yeah.
lining people up, because I know people are busy and everything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Okay.
that's fair. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Burden's on Joe.
Next one is request for certificate of compliance, Corey Fox Esquire, CO Sony and Shublicon Cordillion, 70 Orchard Street, assessors map 60, lot 155, DP file number 305-1095. Is there anybody here for that? Seeing anybody. Joe, do you have any notes on this? Or should we
Yeah,
continue?
so this is a request for a certificate of compliance for 70 Orchard Street. Let me pull my notes here. So the order of conditions was issued for the construction of a 3.5-foot retaining wall located just outside of the 25-foot no disturb zone. The retaining wall was shown to be located in between a neighbor's existing retaining wall and a drainage manhole. I conducted a site visit. The only requirement for the order was to construct a retaining wall and, you know, just verify that it was less than or equal to 3.5 feet. So I did my site visit. I confirmed that it was in between its locations, which was the existing retaining wall and the drainage manhole, and confirming that it was less than 3.5 feet. The applicant provided a letter from a professional land surveyor that verifies that the retaining wall was constructed in accordance with how the special condition of the order of conditions was written. No as-built was provided, and this was a discussion between myself and the applicant where, you know, he was asking if an as-built is necessary. Technically, in the regulations, it doesn't require an as-built. It just requires that whoever was involved with the project, whether it's a professional engineer or a professional land surveyor, they just verify that it was conducted in accordance with the permit. And for the location of the retaining wall is easily identifiable and can be easily confirmed. So, I mean, that's the commission's discretion, but I'd recommend issuing a complete certificate of compliance.
Any questions or comments from the commission?
I don't have a problem with it.
No. No questions?
And it was below the, what did we say?
3.5 feet.
3.5 feet, and you confirmed that it was?
Correct.
All right. All right, if nobody has any questions or comments on this, could I have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for Corey Fox Esquire, Sony and Shublacan Cordillion, 70 Orchard Street, Assessors Map 60, Lot 155, DP file number 305-1094.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Next up, we
We're
have
getting maps.
request for certificate of compliance, Douglas Lease Land Engineering and Environmental Services, Inc., 150 Main Street, Assessors Map 11, Lot 13, DP file number 305-879. Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Sure. Hi, for the record, my name is Doug Lees from Land Engineering and Environmental Services, here representing the Reed Atamian Realty Trust on this application for a certificate of compliance for an order of conditions that was first issued back in 2009. So there's a little history. I just thought I could try to go through it really quick. This is was Atamian Volkswagen, then it was Atamian Volkswagen Honda, and he had the lot up, it's not gonna work. He had the lot, the dealership was right here, and he had a property that included this building here, which was the old AT&T operator center, going way back, but he was using it to store for record. He picked up the house lots that were on Clark Road. The interstate's right there, 495, that's where Clark Road ends. The highway cuts it off. And he wanted to put it in a parking lot. So we filed an ANRAD back in 2009. We had a site walk with, I think it was Bill Manuel maybe? And he was the wetland consultant for the town, and Norse Environmental was the wetland consultant. Stan, and I think Walter might have been the conservation agent. And they had some old plans site plans from the 90s that showed a different wetland line, and there was a little area of gravel parking. That is this area right here in brown. It was gravel parking now, but the old plan showed a wetland line there. So we withdrew the ANRAD and proceeded with the notice of intent, and well, we had a discussion on site, and we proposed to restore the wetland that was there and add additional wetland. So the original plan, this was the gravel area. I don't know if I need the microphone. Hello? Okay. The gravel parking area was here, and this is the area that was disturbed. You can see it was disturbed right in here. So we did the site plan and submitted a notice of intent to create a wetland compensation area, to restore the wetlands that were disturbed, and then to create a new wetland area in this location. And to put parking in on the remainder, this portion of the site. That site plan was the site plan that got the original order of conditions. The work was done, and an as-built was submitted. The as-built So the new wetlands were created. This is the area that was the parking lot before. So there's a new wetland created here, and this area was restored. And this area was created as a parking lot. All the new parking was outside the 25 retaining walls. And I don't believe we ever submitted for a certificate of compliance because at that same time, Honda wanted him to put up a separate building for the Honda dealership. So we did plans to take down this building and put a Honda dealership back here, put the new building back here, and keep the existing Volkswagen building. So there's going to be 2 buildings on the site. That was one amendment to the order of conditions. That was approved. Some time went by, and he hadn't done it yet. This building started to deteriorate, so we wanted to take this building down and not build the Honda building because the financing, it was 2000, I don't remember what time it was, but he didn't have the financing together to put the building up. He just wanted to get this building down. So that was another amendment to the order of conditions. And then they ended up with taking the Volkswagen building down and putting a Honda building up in the back. That was the final approved plan. I think there was one other amendment to relocate. Oh, it's the wrong plans. There was one other amendment to relocate an infiltration pond because when they went out there and they started doing the work, there was a holding tank there. It became an area of use limitation. And as you all know, you're not allowed to do infiltration in an AUL. So the pond was moved, it was proposed there, and it's actually constructed over here. And that was another amendment. So I think there was 3 amendments to the project, and the final plan with the building back here and to raise this building. The edge of pavement has stayed the same as it was originally. All the work was done within the limits of the pavement from the original approval. So there was never any increase in impervious. The wetland mitigation compensation area has been construction since 2010. The as-built is 2011. They asked for 5 signs along here for no snow storage because they were plowing the snow into the wetlands. So we worked on the attainment for a snow management plan, and they don't put it in the wetlands anymore. They park it, they store it on the other side of the site, and they take it off-site. But the stormwater, the system is all in. We originally applied for the certificate of compliance back in 2020, but there was some, well, it was October, and we had a snowstorm, and somebody hit the wall and knocked it down, a portion of the wall. And there was some other changes. There was some stuff shown on the plan that wasn't there anymore. There was an old sewer pipe, so engineering had a list of comments from Kevin. We addressed all those comments, finally got the wall rebuilt and the guardrails rebuilt and replaced all the riprap. And we got a letter from engineering, I think, a couple weeks ago saying that they're happy with it. So we're back with the actual certificate of compliance and the planning board on Monday to get the site plan signed off. So it's been a long road. I know you probably have questions. That was kind of a real quick overview. A lot of it I didn't remember until I started looking at it.
This is one of the first things I remember when I started on the commission about the snow storage signs. I didn't realize that this had gone back that much further than this.
Well, Tamian's been there forever, so
Yeah.
it goes back. I mean, he originally bought, there was an NEC, New England Computers had a site, right up by the highway. Anyways, right up by the highway in front of his building, he bought that and incorporated that into the project back in '94, I think. I didn't do the work back then, I think.
So, for the commission, just to kind of simplify from like a compliance perspective, basically anything within the jurisdictional area is, it's 100 feet from the wetland. So what the commission would care about is obviously, just that the extent of the proposed work was completed, which it was, as far as where the asphalt is to the west, which, the as-built plan shows that. Stormwater compliance, there's a clean letter from Engineering Division, so that's all set. The snow storage signs, proposed 5 along the southwestern property boundary. So I confirmed that those were all there. So the remaining thing is the wetland replication and restoration area. So there were, I think, 2 letters provided by Norse Environmental Services, who presumably monitored and oversaw the construction of the mitigation area
Yep.
and the oversight of the restoration area. So there weren't photos that could be found of like the wetland replication mitigation area actually occurring, but there are 2 letters that allude to the fact that it was completed and that it has been filling in and will be filling in with wetland vegetation to comply with applicable regulations.
And that's from Norse, Joe?
That is from Norse.
Those are in 2011 though. Are those letters or are there new
Yeah, the
letters?
2011 letters. So one of the letters states that, in my opinion, the wetland replication area will successfully revegetate and is in compliance with the design and intent of the Wetland Protection Act regulations, 310 CMR 10.00. So the issue, or just those are the facts, that these 2 letters provide evidence that it is completed in accordance with regulations, or will be. But outside of those letters and my observations of everything looking good, from just a quick, visual observation, that is all to confirm anything related to the wetland replication mitigation area.
Your observations were just recent, right?
Yeah,
So 10 years after this letter was written,
correct.
and it looks fine.
Yeah, it looks fine. I can't, confirm that.
There was a picture I submitted with the original letter back in 2020 that showed a picture of the replication area, so that was 2 years ago. And the as-built, we did the as-built survey in 2011, we topoed it. And we have it down to 110.5, 111 down here where it was 115, 114, 115, 116 before the replication. So the topo shows that it was excavated 4 or 5 feet in this area.
Yeah, I mean, if the letter, I mean, it's from 2011, but if it was good back then I'm kind of, unless,
Well, it's now 2022, which is 11 years later, and it looks good to Joe.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, we can't go back in time here.
I'm not sure what could be, if the commission wanted some level of additional verification. I'm not, they would have to go
The
out.
only question I ever
pictures-
remember coming up was that, of course, the natural vegetation that's in the rest of the wetland took over and choked out what was planted. We tried planting native vegetation, native shrubs, but it looks just like the rest of it now.
So my point is, even if the commission wanted additional verification, that would probably entail another entire wetland delineation, and then, verify.
We have a retaining wall and we have fixed
Yeah, there's a retaining wall
as-built.
all along it now.
Right, so, we have a positive boundary.
Yeah, I'm good with how everything grew in based on the
Right,
pictures, and if
it's-
you're saying it looks the same as the pictures in 2020,
I hate to
have
say
no
it, but
issues.
nature took its course.
Stating facts.
I guess, are there no snow signs there? Because that was one of your comments, but then you said they were there, so I'm just double checking.
No, so that's the text, no snow storage. So I'm not saying that I'm denying that there's no snow storage signs.
No, but
It's
are there signs there?
yes,
Oh, okay, all
yes.
right.
Oh, where they've been installed.
So, yeah, they were installed as based on the site plan that was approved.
And it's only that first section of the retaining wall that the snow storage signs are actually installed,
Yeah,
right?
there's no retaining wall or guardrail over on that side of the parking lot, so that's where it was easy to push it off.
Yeah,
The rest of it has guardrail and
Yeah.
retaining wall, so you
Alright.
can't really just
But it's-
push the snow into the wetlands.
But it's clearly marked now.
But now there's signs that say no snow storage.
All right, yeah, I'm comfortable with this, if everybody else is.
I'm sad to see it finally end.
I'm sure they'll have something else that they have to do or want to do. All right, in that case, could I have a motion for to approve the certificate of compliance for Douglas Lee's Land Engineering and Environmental Services, Inc., 150 Main Street, Assessors Map 11, Lot 13, DEP file number 305-879.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And I would say that 879 is a pretty old DEP file number, but we just had -002 last meeting, so that's, quite a bit older.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And this has been continued. All right. So this next one, J, are any of them in the?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
No idea.
All right. So let's table J to the end.
Want me to ask?
Yeah, ask those guys.
Yeah, you guys aren't for Engineering Corporation of Lawrence in the back?
Kevin.
Okay.
Okay.
So Jay, we're just gonna table till the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Notice of intent, Karen Skinner-Catroni, on behalf of homeowners, 765 Whipple Road, Assessors Map 31, Lot 57, DP file number 305-1161.
I'd be surprised if they showed up,
All right.
received any new information, so.
Do you want to, we can just continue
Yeah.
that.
Continue to the next meeting?
Yeah. Could I have a
Okay.
motion to continue?
I'll make that motion to continue, Mr. Chairman, but I'd also like a letter sent to Ms. Catrone that she should be here at the next meeting with some type of update. Thank you.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Votes aye as well. All right, L, public hearing, notice of intent, Goddard Consulting LLC on behalf of Rhino Capital Advisors LLC, 30 Commerce Way, Assessors Map 23, Lot 18 and 19, DEP file number 305-1162.
Thank you.
You don't want to use the monitor again?
Scared me last time, so.
Chicken.
I think the same.
Name's Tyler Murphy with Rhino Capital. I'm the applicant. Andrew Tebow, Goddard Consulting representative. So what you have in front of you is two documents. The Tewksbury Warehouse development is really just a point of reference for us as we go through today's conversation. All the slides in here are things you've seen before. So you've got the existing site conditions, the proposed development. You have our slope planting plan from our last presentation, and then the isolated wetlands from the peer reviewer. So just kind of some images there as we go through our discussion to reference. The other package you have in front of you is the comment letter from Goddard in response to Joe's comments, which I saw that you all had anyway. The middle piece of this is just a copy of an email between Andrew, myself, and Joe, just saying that, yeah, I've reviewed it. There's a couple of items here from the peer reviewer's letter. And then the last piece there is just a copy of the town engineer's review. This was more on the planning board side, but definitely something that has an overlap with stormwater. So we've included that, and that's sort of the closeout letter. So we're done with comments from the town engineer, and I'll be in front of the planning board on Monday. And they've confirmed that they'll be voting and have all the documents in place. So last time we were here was our second presentation. Not much on the plan had changed, but there were sort of three major outstanding items. One item was Joe hadn't finished the review because we had just submitted the plans, the revised plans the day before. The second piece was we didn't have the peer reviewer's letter. And the last piece was we didn't have the town engineer's final sign off. Since our hearing 2 weeks ago, all three of those things have been completed. Nothing on the plan has changed since last time you saw it, but if we do want to look at those things, we do have them right here. And so we're happy to go through the comment letter, and Joe, you referenced those couple of outstanding comments. We're happy to go through those with Andrew and answer any questions.
Absolutely. Yep, so on September 1st, we kind of gave Joe our whole supplemental submittal, all the outstanding comments, and he issued a few back that is you guys have in front of you, just confirming that we're going to have separate as-built plans for both the wetland replication and the stream relocation areas. We issued another comment just about how we comply with land on our waterway. The intermittent stream will apply, so we just demonstrated that we would be meeting those standards. Other than that, we issued our wildlife habitat evaluation, got that over to Joe. I believe he's looked through that. Since then, Bill Manuel has issued his letter signing off that all of the wetlands on site are delineated correctly. And so he just gave two kind of recommendations for when the commission issues an order of conditions, that we take a look at the area that he thinks holds some water in the spring. If we were to find out that that would be, in fact, holding vernal pool species, that we would supply some sort of planting plan and mark that to the commission as a vernal pool. And then the other one is during his review, he couldn't find all of the pond flags, but due to the steep embankment, he was pretty confident they would be in the correct locations. But he recommended just as a special condition that we go in the field before construction, put them all up visible, so that way we can confirm that all flags are there in the field before construction. Myself and Tyler have talked, his comments over, and we agree that those are very fair and, a benefit to the project. So we're happy to move forward with those both as conditions for the project.
All right.
Yeah, and I think the high-level overview, we've talked about a lot of things over these hearings, is just, we have a stream that has sort of trash and debris around it. This kind of impacted, and we're hoping that we're leaving it in a better situation than it exists today. And the site will have, it has just under 2-to-1 replication, so there'll be more wetlands than the way that we found it. So I know we had a lot of kind of things going on, but the high-level overview is we hope we're leaving the site from a wetlands perspective in a better state than where it is today.
All right. Any questions or comments from the commission members?
You said we had the letter from Kevin?
If it's not in the meeting packet, it's in the packet that they provided.
Yeah, that's September 9th.
Yeah, so it's the last 3 pages.
So his comments, I think he may have still had some comments, but none of them related to verifying compliance with the Massachusetts stormwater standards.
Yep.
So from our perspective, it's seemingly, that his review verified compliance with the
So
Massachusetts.
his would affect planning, not,
Well, it still affects conservation, but we still defer to Kevin to at least verify compliance with mass stormwater standards if it's discharging a jurisdictional area.
okay.
So
You find it?
his comments don't allude to the fact that that they would be in non-compliance with it.
Where is Kevin? You read it in the file?
It's the last 3 pages. It might be in, did you take the other one?
Yeah, I mean, some of his open comments are this was, he considered the letter closed was, you need to have a SWIP.
Yeah.
Right, like, of course, there's some other stuff in there that you wanted to leave that, I was like that.
So outside of that, so Bill Manuel has provided a letter, confirming the general accuracy of how the wetlands are delineated. His primary comments, as Andrew stated, was just reflagging the wetlands, which I would recommend as well. I believe that's already a built-in condition within the standard conditions associated with our permits, is to, maintain flags throughout the duration of the project. In addition to Bill suggesting to go out in the springtime and check if it's actually a vernal pool. I don't think he was aware of the planting plan that you guys had presented. So I think I had a conversation with him, and I think, that's kind of what he was looking for, just to, revegetate that bank with natural vegetation, which it seems like you guys have already accounted for in the planting plan.
Exactly.
So I would still recommend just checking in the spring as well, just to see if it's a it would just be for the fact of checking if it's a vernal pool, just so the commissions at least can have it documented that it exists.
And we'll have Goddard do it, and we'll submit it to the board.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you couldn't find the wetland flags because, or Bill couldn't find them because the vegetation and the slope, did you say? Or
Yeah, the vegetation obscured the flags, and the slope was very, very steep, so he couldn't really get in
Just a
there.
couple, it was 4 of the flags, not all
All
the
right.
flags. So he could see the line, he was just, there's 4.
Yeah.
4 and 18.
You knew roughly where they should be,
Yes.
but couldn't actually.
Exactly, and he feel verified, looking at elevation, that they would be in the right area. His idea is just, that way everybody on the construction site has, a vision of everything that's there mapped, so, yeah,
Alright.
that was all.
So is the SWIP still outstanding too? That was one of his comments, that
Yeah,
it's
so
still
we-
open comment.
Yeah, so we have to file a SWIP, we just don't do it because once you file it, that you don't do it until you're about to, 30 days out from construction typically, because once you do it, you have to maintain erosion control plans and things like that, so you don't file it until you're ready to go. So we're planning to start construction in the spring, so if I was to file it, say, tomorrow, I'd have to have erosion control out there in theoretically 30 days, which doesn't make any sense. So before we start construction, we have to have a SWIP and meetings and with the board and all sorts of things, so.
I would just add that as an order condition, make sure the SWIP's approved before.
Yep.
Can we add that as an order condition? Because I think that's critical.
To approve of,
Approval of a SWIP before construction can begin. As part of our conditions.
sure,
'Cause I think that's critical.
all right. That'll be part of the as discussed.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'll write it down for myself.
Joe's getting beat up tonight.
It's on those last page of comments. Under regarding the land,
So
under 14, after 14, number 1. Comment still remains, so.
Yeah, and we checked in with them and I said, do we consider this closed? And Alex said this is considered closed, we're just leaving these comments, which may become conditions or may become requirements, but we're not requiring them right now.
Okay. I reviewed the wildlife habitat evaluation. I didn't see any issues with that. And like I said, I think, the project has the potential to leave the area in a better condition. I'm about to go on include all my comments, so if anyone else has.
All right, yeah.
I'm good. All right. So if the commission were to issue an order of conditions with they may do so with the following conditions. Standard conditions number 1 through number 4 and number 9 through number 19. The special conditions shall include the documents titled Wetland Replication Plan, Stream Relocation Plan, and Replication Plan, and Wetland Resource Signage Plan prepared by Goddard Consulting LLC and dated August 31st, 2022, in addition to the document titled Dewatering Plan prepared by Goddard Consulting on September 1st, 2022, shall be abided by for this order of conditions, notwithstanding anything to the contrary. Wetland replication activities shall be initiated within the first 3 months of the commencement of site work. And please jump in if you have any objection. Work to create the wetland replication area in accordance with the aforementioned wetland replication plan, including initial planting, shall be complete, except for subsequent monitoring within 1 year of the commencement of site work. An as-built of the wetland replication area shall be completed and submitted to the Conservation Commission within 30 days of the wetland replication area's initial completion. The as-built should at least detail final grading, soil composition, planting locations, plant species, and photographs. An as-built of the stream relocation and replication area shall be completed and submitted to the Conservation Commission within 30 days of the stream relocation replication area's initial completion. The as-built should at least specify final grading, soil and/or stream bottom amendments, location of plantings, species of plantings, and bank characteristics. The embankments adjacent to wetland resource areas shall be appropriately seeded to provide long-term slope stability and erosion prevention. The seeding plan provided within the final approved site plans referenced in Section A of the Order of Conditions may be appropriate to satisfy this condition. Erosion and sediment control barriers along the perimeter of the site shall include of a properly entrenched silt fence adjacent to at least a 12-inch diameter compost filter tube. The compost filter tube shall be placed in front of the silt fence such that any runoff makes first contact with the filter tube, not the silt fence. Install and maintain erosion and sediment controls around the area of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. Erosion and sediment controls shall remain in place until all areas of disturbed loose soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. The Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, the SWIP, inspector shall submit monthly reports to the Conservation Commission regarding the maintenance, repair, and/or replacement of erosion and sediment controls throughout the site. Silt sacks shall be placed in all drainage inlets as part of the erosion and sediment control plan. Silt sacks shall be properly maintained and/or replaced throughout the duration of the project and until project completion. And soil stockpiles within the Conservation Commission jurisdictional area shall be covered whenever not in use. And I believe that is it for my comments, and I believe a lot of the monitoring program is associated and incorporated into the wetland replication plan and all the reference documents, so.
Is that all you have, Joe?
Yeah.
I know we have the standard order of conditions, but can you get the standard order of special conditions?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Bad idea.
All right. Do you have anything else you'd like to bring up?
I think that was all I expected. Sounded great.
All right. This is a public hearing, so I will open up to the public, but not seeing anybody. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Were you?
I said aye.
All right. I didn't hear anything. All right. Could I have a motion to approve the notice of intent Goddard Consulting LLC on behalf of Rhino Capital Advisors LLC, 30 Commerce Way, Assessors Map 23, Lot 18 and 19, DEP file number 305-1162.
So moved.
As discussed at this meeting, I just want to throw that in.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
luck.
guys.
You recusing?
All right. Public hearing, notice of intent, Andover Consultants, Inc., on behalf of Kevin O'Brien of O'Brien Homes, Foster Lane off Poland Ave, Assessors Map 24, Lot 26, DEP file number not yet assigned. Could you please introduce yourselves for the record?
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Dennis Gricci, an engineer with Andover Consultants here on behalf of the applicant O'Brien Homes. And the applicant Kevin O'Brien is here as well this evening. So the project site, it is an unimproved, it is a vacant lot located on Foster Lane, which is an unimproved way off of Poland Avenue. So the lot here is highlighted in yellow. It's approximately 2.54 acres. The wetlands on the site were flagged by Norse Environmental. A portion of those wetlands were confirmed via an ORAD issued by the commission in April of 2022. So after the issuance of the ORAD and the development of preliminary site plans, it was determined that the wetland boundary needed to be extended along the westerly boundary line. There is a gas easement that is bisecting the site and a sewer easement that's bisecting the site here. At the time, it was contemplated putting a wetland replication area along this western boundary line, but the gas easement eliminated that possibility. So as you can see, the proposed development would include the extension of a roadway or extension of a driveway and the crossing of a wetland to gain access to the upland portion of the lot, construction of a single-family dwelling. The proposed project would fill approximately 4,600 square feet of wetland area, and they were proposing approximately 6,500 square feet of wetland replication. A wetland replication report was prepared by Norse Environmental Consultants or Norse Environmental Services and submitted to the commission as part of the notice of intent package. The plantings themselves is a mixture of high bush blueberries. We have some red maples. We also have some northern arrowwood. We're also proposing a wetland seed mix to be spread also throughout the wetland replication area. The driveway itself is proposed to be permeable pavement to reduce runoff or hopefully eliminate runoff from the proposed driveway. And in addition, the site will also be serviced by a sewer force main that's going to connect to a sewer manhole that's existing just off the site here, and also public water. If the commission has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those questions. And again, Kevin O'Brien, the applicant, is here this evening to answer any questions the commission may have.
Any questions or comments from the commission?
Joe, do you want to go through your 15 questions first?
Sure. So these I've since gotten responses, but the responses weren't included in your packets. But we can still go through them. So the first one kind of just details, the wetland replication plan, which was included with the packet, or was included with their submission. And it does a good job of, specifying, wetland seed mix and wetland plants and the wetland replication area. So I do generally like the wetland replication plan. I do have a few comments on that, which are addressed down in my comments down here. I suggested the wetland replication plan being overseen by a qualified wetland scientist, which is accounted for in their plan. Just specifying the seed mixture, that the spec of the seed mix that you're going to be using, like the plant species, wetland indicator status. Just as in the last project, including an as-built at the wetland replication area within 30 days of completion, and showing where the shrub tree species are planted, what species they are, grading, plant spacing, description of soil profile, etc. Is that okay? Does that sound good?
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, well, I think that's also addressed in the replication report. The one question regarding the construction of the replication area. So the thought was at this point that the replication area would be done at the same time. Some of the general earthwork will be done at the site, which makes a lot of sense with the heavy equipment coming in and out. So I think the foundation would be dug out and built at the same time as the replication area is being created. But prior to any construction of the home, the replication as-built will be provided to the commission.
Okay. Okay. So just continuing with my comments, just ensuring 75% vegetative growth as per, the WPA. Monitoring over 2 growing seasons, and if it's not achieved within 2 growing seasons, continuing monitoring reports and, mitigation efforts. Coordinate with me once the wetland replication plan is first implemented, just so I can do a site check and, make sure everything is, good to go for the wetland replication work. changing the perimeter sediment controls to a 12-inch diameter compost filter stock. Just, that's going to hold up with larger site work better over time. In addition to an entrenched silt fence. Contacting me prior to construction activity, just so I can approve of the erosion and sediment controls. Providing a dewatering plan, which I believe is in the works. 'Cause I do imagine some dewatering is necessary. Covering soil stockpiles. And as you previously mentioned too, and so the commission is aware, only part of the wetlands were confirmed under the ORAD. So actually, could you just point for the commission to where the delineation or confirmation ended?
So the ORAD stopped at flag, so it stopped at flag 1B.
Right.
And then continuing 1E through 18E, that was the boundary of the north set.
Right.
Subsequent to the ORAD being issued.
So I'll go out there to confirm the remaining portion of that wetland boundary, but that part wasn't part of the ORAD.
If I may, we did that after the fact because we were thinking of putting a replication over in that top
Right.
left corner.
Okay.
And where it came in that much near the gas main or the gas easement, I'm not working over the gas main. I mean, some people would probably like that, but,
So I can go out and confirm that. It's up to you whether you want
I
north.
don't have a problem with you going out and
Well, it's up to you if you want north there, 'cause just, if I find an issue, it might save time having them there to make that modification, but I can also do it myself, so I'm just letting you know.
I think we're fine with you doing it. So
Okay.
You're very capable of doing that. And if you'd like me to be there with you when you do it, that's fine too.
Okay. I asked just to demarcate the limit of work on the site plans, extend the erosion and sediment controls all the way up the driveway within all jurisdictional areas. I asked about, the driveway does kind of bisect the wetland, so I kind of wanted to ensure that both wetland systems are still able to connect. Through the comments, I thought maybe pipes might be appropriate to kind of at least have like some connectivity between wetland systems,
Like a
but
culvert kind of, or?
not like a culvert, more just like a series of pipes, not large pipes, but just at least would transmit water back and forth easily. But if you want to explain your response to that.
Yeah, I may have that sheet. So, as I stated earlier in the presentation, the entirety of the driveway will be permeable pavement. We do have a detail of that porous pavement on, it's on sheet 4, so it's 12 inches of coarse crushed stone over pea stone over 8 inches of bank run gravel. And then you actually have the 4 inches of the porous pavement and then 4 inches of crushed stone beneath that. So our thought in this design is that the water from both wetlands will be able to navigate through that crushed stone, through that sub-base material from one wetland to the next. We did evaluate earlier on in the process of trying to put some pipes underneath the driveway. So this dash line here is the existing grade. This heavier line is our proposed driveway profile. So we're really matching the grades as best we can in order to get a couple pipes, to connect the wetlands, which might be, as Joe mentioned, it might just be a series of, 8-inch pipes. We'd have to bring up our road profile, so to get the cover over those pipes. The effect of that is the shoulder grading for the driveway would extend further into the wetland, so we'd be increasing our proposed impacts to the wetlands. So this was our attempt to not only connect the wetland hydraulically with the porous pavement and the subbase, but also minimize the impacts to the wetlands to the maximum extent possible.
So that's fine. That makes sense to me. When this project goes to get an as-built, would that be detailed? Like what level of confirmation could we receive for like what actually goes in? Because that sounds all well and good now, but
For the porous pavement?
yeah.
So it's a good question. I mean, we could certainly have a condition that requires either the design engineer, myself, or someone from the department to go out and actually watch the construction of the porous pavement to make sure that it does comply with the detail provided.
So that's just my own curiosity. It's up to, that's however the commission, how important that is.
I would like even a photo,
We're going to end up going through the same thing we went through with the electric place down there, how deep is it, how not deep is it? So
Well,
as long as we have something on a certified plan that says, this is what we did, this guy watched it, and he's signing his name to it.
Yeah, but a couple of photos doesn't hurt either. If you're putting large stone in there, take a snapshot. I mean,
And we can certainly do that.
And I certainly wouldn't have, we're gonna be doing the work ourselves, I certainly wouldn't have a problem with you coming out there periodically and not us setting it up and saying, okay, why don't you come out at 10, wink, wink, and we'll have everything perfect. It's gonna be difficult going in here because we've got one way in and one way out, so.
I think photos is sufficient. I think photos are sufficient.
I would just assume you look at it just that way.
right, I mean, photos, you can snap the photos when they give you a
Sure.
call. Again, we load you up. But you know what I'm saying, is because then the proof is in the pudding,
Yeah, right.
per se.
Okay, so I'll put in.
Because you're right, Pat, we ran into this at the solar, didn't we? How do we know what's in there? Well, if we
Yeah,
have
true.
Photos. I think you'd comfortable with that, aren't you?
Yeah, we're certainly comfortable with photos, and if Joe can do it, I mean, I can certainly
Right.
do it, I'm sure.
I'm just trying to apply common sense here.
Yeah.
And then we'll let him know beforehand when we're doing it, so like I said, if you want to periodically come by and just give the nod.
And he
So
hangs
still-
out in town, so we know
Yeah.
he's there, right?
And he has nothing else to do, right? Sorry, Joe.
No worries. I lost my thing. Oh, I think that was the extent of my comments, and just the fact that I would need to go out there just to verify wetland flags. I did receive a DEP file number today.
Okay.
But still waiting on the dewatering plan and me verifying the remainder of the flags. Yeah.
I know I heard that a resident of the neighborhood was concerned about water getting into other people's basements because of this. Did they contact you directly about it? It doesn't sound like anybody.
I have received a call about,
You got it, all right.
yeah.
All right, and I'm assuming that there's,
Not
From-
in regard to that issue.
oh, all right. But, yeah, stormwater, it's all been approved by the town engineer.
For this?
Yeah.
So because it's a construction of a single-family home, the mass stormwater standards do not apply.
Oh, all right.
But we have no
But if
outstanding
you do
comments.
get, since this will be continued because of all the other thing, if you do get a neighbor or something, can they put it in writing? I don't want to say I talked to Sally on the phone today and she said this and that. I want it documented. If you do get a call, just ask the resident to put it in writing.
Oh, like the.
If somebody calls up and says, I don't want him to build this house because of this, because the water's going in my basement, I want it in writing. I don't want you to take the call and then you're telling us. I need something with her signature on it or something that identifies, because when they say, well, Joe said that she said, and it's hearsay, and I'd rather have it in writing if you do get something like that, just request a resident put it in writing.
Okay.
But it looks like topography-wise.
Exactly. We're down.
Yeah,
everything.
Okay.
I took a drive over there and I've been to this area and I didn't quite know where this is going, but yeah, it's all
I
going.
looked at the
This side is,
elevations and it's not
So a very small portion of the site is within the floodplain in this, in this lower corner. This is the edge of Trollbrook. We're not doing any work in the floodplain, but this is Trollbrook. It kind of, it meanders up northerly. So any water is going to be going in that direction towards the brook.
Yeah, you're closest to Robbie Terrace Way, and there's a decent amount of space between, and it's a single-family house that,
I like what Pat says, though, if somebody's got an actual complaint, we need to know.
yeah, I just wanted to address it, that like, you know.
I appreciate that, I'm just looking at the lot in aggregate and going, if the elevations don't pretty much support somebody complaining.
All right, that's all I have. Any other questions or comments?
Is there a reason why the sewer service runs all the way down the driveway and doesn't connect to the sewer manhole that's right near the house?
That is it's a trunk line, so it's not a small, something we would connect to.
I believe it's a 42-inch.
Okay, I only saw the 8-inch and the 10-inch.
Believe me, I'll just soon dump it right next door, right into that manhole that's right there, but that's.
So you gotta run it down the street. You have to run the sewer down the street a bit?
No, the sewer's there. Oh, we'll have to come from the house.
Sewer is going to connect. So this is the 42-inch main that we're
Okay.
referring to, and we're gonna come down with our force main and connect just above that, so there's actually a smaller 10-inch sewer service.
Okay,
That
all right.
connects to that trunk. So we're gonna connect to the 10-inch service with the more typical connection rather than tying to that 42-inch.
So I think we had somebody dumping into a big one
Yeah, that was
on Troll, was it?
40, that was Long Meadow.
Long Meadow, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause he had to go in and do a chimney drop or something on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one? It was a big one.
Yeah.
Most cities and towns don't like the chimneys inside the manholes because it
Right.
confines the manholes.
Right.
So that's why we propose it, just not even going there.
Right, you're going to a new normal service line.
Yeah. So, starting the wetland replication within, like, as, one of the first things of the project.
To get in there, like I said before, we only have one way in there, up across the landing into the
Yep.
project. So what we would do, that's why we asked to be able to put the foundation in simultaneously with doing the wetlands work. What would make sense is digging the hole for the replication area and taking the wetland soils that we take out of the driveway area and putting them in that wetlands replication area.
Okay.
So we're using the wetland soils. And then what we would do is we'd probably come back and dig the driveway out and fill it with material, not per the driveway sketch. I mean, not per the stone and everything yet, because, again, we gotta get in there. So we'd fill it with gravel. And then we'd turn around, get the replication area and stuff done in the property, and then we'd come back and we'd start working our way in. The stone and everything's gonna have to be done in sections. We're gonna have to dig, let's say, 20 feet, and put the 12 inches of stone, the Marafi paper down, and then the 12 inches of stone, and then the next layer. And again, you've only got one way in and out of there, so if we stockpile material in where the house is, we can bring that back, but you've only got one way in, so it's gonna be a two-step process before we do that driveway.
So
Maybe even a three-step process.
one of my comments was about, because the way that it works is, the commission might approve a project and then the building permit application comes in and they ask for my signature to approve of the building permit, but there's usually certain things that the applicant needs to do prior to construction beginning, but sometimes the applicant needs the building permit to show, some proof for whatever reason. So usually that's like a point of friction that I find myself in, where we approve the project, you still need to do certain things prior to construction, but you're looking for a building permit. So would that work where I don't issue a building permit until the wetland replication area is started, or do you need the building permit in order to dig the foundation out?
You would have to issue the building permit before the foundation. Now, there's two steps in the building permit process. We get the first permit, and then we bring a certified plot plan in, and that's when you get your framing permit. That's what we're looking to wait on. You can wait on the framing permit end of it.
And at that point, the foundation's in.
The foundation's in, it's
So we have-
certified, it's
so we have
backfilled.
we have something to
Replication
pull
area is
measurements
done.
off.
All the site work is, for the
Right.
most part, is done. And then we'd be looking, because I don't want to be framing out there with all that stuff going on, that's craziness.
Okay.
It
Okay.
just- It would just have to be, the building department would just have to key you up when, or you'd have to key them up when.
Okay.
Came to the point.
So,
And quite frankly, I'm gonna be doing it myself, and I wouldn't go in there and do that to you anyway, so.
regardless, prior to me signing off on the building permit, it would still, because that's me verifying that, yes, you can go forward with construction. So you would still need to, post the sign, establish erosion and sediment controls, and then me do the site visit to confirm where erosion and sediment controls are. So I just wanted to tell you that ahead of time, so you're not disappointed that the building permit is held up, by myself, so I can check that.
All that can be done before the building permit.
Sure, yeah, it certainly can, but
Absolutely.
sometimes it doesn't happen that way.
Now, if it would be up to you or up to the building inspector or the building department just to say, okay, we're gonna put a tag on this, we're gonna give them the permit to put the foundation in. Once we get the certified, we're not gonna issue the framing permit until Joe clears it, conservation clears it.
Okay.
All right, so we don't, you've gotten a DEP file number, but it's not technically on file, so can't approve this right now, and we're waiting on other things, I believe. So, could I have a motion to?
Public hearing, Mr. Chairman. Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is a public hearing. I will open it up to the public, and I will not close the public hearing just yet. So while that is open, could I have a motion to continue the notice of intent for Andover Consultants on behalf of Kevin O'Brien of O'Brien Homes, Foster Lane, off Poland Ave, Assessors Map 24, Lot 26, DEP file number not yet assigned, to the next meeting, unless that is, unless you have,
And we're okay with the next meeting?
October 5th, yeah.
all right, could I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
The second.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And just for the record, Mr. Sheehan recused himself from that.
Right.
So. All right. Is he?
I just gave him the phone to.
And now we have, before we get to Pete, I just also want to make an announcement that Town Cleanup Day is on Saturday, and the town festival will be happening, I should know this, but October it will be happening. So you should all go to that, it'll be very fun. Yeah. 2 days.
Is there a beer truck there?
There's no beer truck, unfortunately. There's supposedly helicopter rides, so be prepared for that. Do you want a helicopter ride? You can scope out all it happens in October.
All right, what are we gonna do with Jay here? Did we table that?
Yeah, we did table that, so
Yeah.
continue.
All right, thank you for reminding me. Could I have a motion to continue, request to amend an order of conditions, the Engineering Corporation of Lawrence, Mass. On behalf of MCP Howland Brett owner, Assessors Map 115, lots 4, 5, 6, addresses off Route 93, off 7, address of South Street Land, and 8, address of Route 93 beyond, DEP file number 305-1093.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. All right, last but not least, wetland protection funds, Sarcopta Way. So Joe, can you fill us
Yes.
in on this?
So there's 2 quotes that came in. I believe you guys received those. So I've been coordinating with DPW to get quotes. We've only received 2 for whatever reason. I think that's fine.
You would need a refusal letter technically from a third, saying they don't want to do the work. You need 3, but
Is it, I thought that was over 10,000, no?
it is, it's not bad business practice. It's over.
Oh, yeah,
10,000.
yeah.
If you do it.
So I guess I'll check what is actually necessary for, how many vendors we need, but.
Yeah,
I
you don't
figured-
need 3, but as long as it's sound business practices, you're good. As long as the 2 are kind of similar to each other, you'll be fine.
But the other thing too is I looked at those quotes and, it's conservation land. I just say drop it and let it stay.
So that was the other question, actually, is their the question has arose of whether the trees should be left in the wetland or all removed off-site. So in regard to that, we always tell residences to take everything off-site. So this could be a one-off case where it's like, we have some level of oversight to ensure that it's placed in the wetland correctly. I'm not against placing it in the wetland, but it is a fact that we do typically include a condition for residences to take everything off-site. But
That's for cutting down not necessarily healthy trees, but ones that have not already started to fall down, right?
correct, and
One
this
way
is.
or another, this tree's coming down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think it's like, there's not an issue with placing it in the wetland, especially because it's not like multiple trees, which is typically what residences are asking for. It's just one tree, so.
Which is gonna fall down anyways.
Correct.
And I just don't want it falling on the guy.
Right, I say we let it go back to the earth naturally.
Okay. And again, we reached out, or DPW reached out to 3 or 4, heard back from 2. So I just feel like, and for the sake of time, I feel like it's time to kind of act on something.
I believe that company's driving up from Palmer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $1,800, it says a day rate, is that the quote, is $1,800?
That's just to leave it in the wetlands. That's
Yeah.
not taking anything
No,
away.
but I understand that, but it's,
There is a big difference between the two quotes.
no, I saw the 40-foot, but I just see a day rate of $1,800. It's not a firm fixed number. I do contracts for a living. And
I think that is
that's
the,
pretty ambiguous. So what happens if they say they need 2 days or 3 days? I mean, I'm used to a not to exceed number or a firm fixed.
Sure.
Well, you have the scope right above it too, though.
Yeah, I know, but it just doesn't, traditionally, there is a total. I mean, I'm great with the $1,800.
Yeah.
I'm just, there's nothing definitive.
Right.
so we need to have something that says it's.
I mean, just from,
cut the
just from
tree down.
me being a businessman, I mean,
Right.
somebody says $1,800, what happens if they're there for a week? There's
Yeah.
nothing here limiting.
Yeah, so I can contact them and say,
Give me a
this
firm
is
fixed quote.
clearly,
Right.
but, so I don't, for whatever reason, DPW has a relationship with these contractors naturally. So they have been the ones coordinating. I have offered to do the coordination myself. But they have so far received these quotes. I'm not sure if they'll be using this contractor for like other stuff. So maybe that's the day rate.
Well, I'm just being a common sense driven guy. As I say,
Yeah.
I do quotes for a living, and $1,800 a day. He's not saying,
Yeah, sure.
For the tree.
it's not a firm.
So it took me
quote.
2 days.
What's that?
So it took me 2 days.
Yeah.
You see what I'm getting at?
slow.
Yeah, how many trees are we
You cutting
talking?
down 1 or 2 trees?
I believe it's
thought
a
it was just the
singular
one.
tree.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, there's
can't
there's
cut down a tree
nothing,
with one
$1,800 a day
Yeah,
is a generic statement.
Right.
And you could just reach out to your guy and say, look, get the guys a quote, because I'm all on board. $1,800, drop the tree, move on your way. But when you say a day, you're not defining the work scope.
Okay, so I'll reach out and just say, for this work, this is the work that we are approved to issue. So, I'll just communicate with them and say, I expect this to be just a day, because anything else seems ridiculous.
Put it in an email and say,
Sure.
is this a firm fix of $1,800? And if so, I think all of us will just nod our head and say, let's make it go away.
I'll say if you confirm the 1,800, it would.
Right. And it just,
Okay.
and I deal with people that are always.
Now, have you tried anybody in town?
So DPW's been coordinating.
Yeah.
I didn't want to I know that they have that relationship with tree contractors, so again, I offered, I didn't want to overstep and kind of.
Yeah, but this is our deal, right?
Yeah, that's what I figured too,
Yeah,
but I don't.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think a phone call would, in an email would.
Yeah, so I can do that.
Yeah, because you're not messing with the relationship, you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to give you money. Help me.
Correct. What's it called?
They're gonna be insured too.
Yeah, so that was the other thing is there's an approved list of contractors, so that's where DPW is more familiar with. Anyway, so I can do that. And I believe that ends agenda item P.
All right. Any old business, new business?
I have new business.
Nice.
So 2512 Main Street, it's already permitted through Concom. One of the conditions was to have 6 to 8 feet trees being planted. They could only find 4 to 6 foot trees. I didn't see an issue with it. Just thought I'd mention it, see if you guys have any objection.
Is this where they dump the concrete job?
No, this is near there actually. It's right across the street.
Of course.
Yeah. But
So it's a minor deviation in the height of tree plant?
yeah.
All right, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I don't see a problem, Joe.
Okay. The other thing that came up and was asked is for solar projects, whether the solar panel itself is considered a structure and whether people could install solar panels within the no-build zone.
Well, a solar panel has to be mounted on a footing,
Yes.
and a footing is a structure.
So it's all about how we interpret the bylaw, and the bylaw does say, something giving support to something, but
Dennis, this is in your wheelhouse. I mean, you put a concrete footing in. and-
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, you're digging in wetland, right?
Right.
That's,
Right.
So, what's that say?
You actually have to dig
But I think
in.
what he's referring to is somebody want to put a solar panel in their backyard.
or like a large, it could be that or a large scale thing.
A large what?
A large scale, would that be considered a structure?
Absolutely.
Regardless of whether it's a residential or large scale project.
Well, you have to put a footing in per the state, and that has to be below the frost line to support us with the structure. So if you're in the wetlands,
And we do make, and it is a utility, and we do make National Grid come before us, so.
Yeah, but I think there's a little different there, only because they're upgrading what they're doing. This, I wanna put in my backyard, I'm gonna be digging in wetland.
Right.
I mean,
I
we
would call
have,
it a structure. I mean,
Okay.
we have no choice other than to, cooperate with the National Grid,
right, it's a public
upgrading.
utility, right? I mean,
and they do a good job.
they do a wonderful
Yeah.
job, but
It
I
is
just
a
wanna-
structure, you have to dig down and,
if you're supporting anything that you consider a structure, you need to be below frost.
yeah, I guess I thought I've seen
That's why we put.
them where they
that's
just
why
place
we-
them on the ground with blocks to
Yeah, but they
keep them
won't,
steady.
that won't meet wind requirements, et cetera, et cetera. You're gonna have to go for a building permit here, if you're putting anything of
Yeah.
substance.
So-
And the town is gonna require.
Like you go over to Burke and dump. I wonder, and Tewksbury, I haven't been down there, but you go by, I wonder if it's definitely in structure, in concrete?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Yep.
So then again, you're digging in wetland.
But they also need a permit to put it. So the permit,
Well, they can put them anywhere as far as, I'm not
Correct.
talking wetland, just like I said, on the dump, up around,
So I just wanted to read the definition of structure in our bylaw. A combination of materials assembled at a fixed location to give support or shelter such as a building, house, barn, garage, or shed. The word structure shall be construed where the context requires, as though followed by the words or parts thereof. However, in reference to the no-build zone, structure shall not include fences, retaining walls, decks, patios, gazebos, lawn furniture, children's toys such as sandboxes and swing sets, rip-wrapped areas, driveways, parking areas, sheds not to exceed 120 square feet in floor area, or the like. So I don't know if that changes anything for the commission, but I just figured I'd give some regulatory context. So again, a combination of materials assembled at a fixed location to give support or shelter, such as a building, house, barn, garage, or shed.
So it's not giving shelter.
But it's,
But
But it
they're
is
asking
support.
structure.
Yeah.
Right.
The term is support or shelter.
And, you know, now we're delving into the wind requirements, if you really get into the building, because we do have wind restrictions for buildings. And if you're gonna go put 30 4x8 panels up there, the wind catches it and you've got it on a block.
But
Where's
don't
it going?
forget, Steve, you gotta go down 4 feet,
Right, you gotta go below the frost line, right.
you know?
Okay.
So it's really a good-sized hole. I mean, even just, you know, if you're talking wetland.
Correct. So
So considering in the structure,
I wholeheartedly believe it's a structure because it is. You know, I'm just saying, you know, because anything of that substance is gonna have to, well, number one, it's gonna be an electrical permit and a building permit.
right?
So at that point, you're gonna get dragged in on the building permit.
Yeah.
But it's something to think about, but
I would say we consider it a structure, see how one or two of them go through see if it's worthwhile once we review one or two of them too. And
So,
make the
yeah.
determination. So
And this is
kind of-
just, considering it goes into near wetland.
Right, correct.
I mean, because like Dennis said, I mean, you go to all the old landfills, they are just loaded
yeah.
with,
Yeah.
and they're all on concrete.
Right. Okay. All right, that settles that. The last thing is, so
No.
tree clearing in general. So if someone comes, and this kind of relates to 50 Driftwood and like how this should be handled. Someone says, can I clear a certain amount of area? And they say, okay, well, and I come out and I say, okay, here's the wetland, you know, our 25-foot no disturb zone. Like, what do they need to show the commission to say, like, okay, I will not go, like, I'll clear these trees, but I will not go past this 25-foot no disturb zone that you showed me? So like, what do they need to show? Like, is it just a sketch? Do they need to get the wetlands delineated and surveyed? And is it like an RDA versus an NOI if they propose to go, you know, clear a decent amount of area up to the 25-foot no disturb zone? I can see it being either way, but then it always comes down to, okay, like, is it worth them spending the money to get a surveyed plan just to say, yes, they can go up to the 25-foot no disturb
I would
zone?
almost say if they're like within 35 feet or 40 feet, then you kind of need to know that little difference, because that nuance, because it could shift 5 feet or so.
Now, you're saying just getting it delineated? versus-
If you want to go like to the edge of it, if you want to go to the edge of 25, like I would give ourselves like a little bit of buffer.
Because I thought this is going back a little bit, but I want to say like 10 feet, like you weren't sure where the actual delineation was, but you could estimate it was around here, and then they were going an additional 10 or 15 feet, and we were all okay with that.
Okay.
But yeah, the closer you get to the actual line.
And then a little
More
insurance and policy, what you're saying, right? 10 feet beyond, yeah.
Yeah, if you come to them, you say you want to go within 40, hey, knock yourself out. But you say 30, now everybody gets your attention.
So, okay, so assuming they go to 40 as just a, like, kind of, maybe just, it's still a permit in RDA, but it's more of like an informal, like, you know, sketch type of thing?
As long as you viewed it, you know, on your purvey, and you say, look, we're good,
And now you're an expert now too, so.
Right, now you got your training.
Well, but beyond that point is what? What, like,
I think you need a survey and a delineation.
okay.
I think, because that buys us confidence.
Right. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can just draw a circle on a map, on a piece of paper if that's what you're getting at. That's what just happened. That's why I was concerned, because he drew a point, looked like it was on top or close to on top of it. So, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I think we hit everything. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I.
Alphabet.
1, 2, 3.
All right. Those are,
We're gonna go into some capitals and small fonts soon, right?
Next meeting is October 5th, 2022. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.